can't hear you. What, too loud or something? Hi, guys. Welcome to episode 29 of the podcast conversation with Neil Stevens. And tonight we have a very important topic. We're afraid that elections may be canceled and democracy may be canceled here in Exeter and beyond. And tonight we're joined by 4 Devon County councilors, Tony Stevens and his brother Neil.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
And Nat.
Good evening, everyone.
And Jacqueline.
Good evening.
Awesome. Great. Thank you for joining us, everybody. So, as usual, if you could, we've got a call-in feature here tonight, so feel free to call in. And the number is 07355-429-205. Neil, why is this an important podcast tonight?
Okay, so as we've said, our voice matters and democracy is what we're going to discuss. We're not going to flip, besides what we've done in the last week, we have to look at the reasons why it's been, I wouldn't say cancelled, delayed. So tonight we're going to have a quite flowing discussion. If people want to ring in questions, put them along, and I want both sides of the discussion. I want to hear from the people who agree that it should be delayed, and I want to hear from people who don't really care, all right, because I would say 60% don't care, and the people who say why we should carry on with the elections in May.
That's great, Neil. And so let's flip up the slide here. It's just the number to remind everybody of. Let's have a conversation, guys. Let's have a conversation. And number 07355-429-205. And Mary's waiting to take your call tonight. So, okay, let's get into it, right? But first, should we do an update as far as what you all been doing in the community, Neil?
Yeah, can we just go back? We want people to engage. The purpose of this tonight and every podcast is to get people sending messages. We're trying to answer the questions, whatever you want. Please get, we do this for the people. It's not for, we actually do enjoy it, actually, guys, don't we? yeah, I was going to say we don't, but we do enjoy it. Yeah, it's all good. So if we do an update, should we start with Tony first?
Yeah, sure, Neil. You can start with me. One of my bugbearers this week is Isleworth Road. Now, I'm going to have a go at Devon County Council on this one, and that's the highways. They don't seem to think it's important to do anything about this road, like resurface it. They call it an amber road, so I would really love to see what a red road is.
What do you mean amber road?
Well, not as bad as a red road, I suppose.
Christ, I like it.
Well, you've been down it. Look, what they're saying is it's not that bad. It will be patched this year. That's if it survives. Look, I won't bring Steve Race into this, but he has promised that all this money's coming down
hang
for potholes.
Hang on, you've just brought him in.
Well, I brought him in, all right.
So 27 million he's given, so we're going to ring the highways, Mr. Thompson, Councillor Dan Thompson.
Thomas.
Find Thomas, find out where this 27 million's going.
Yeah, and why can't some of it be spent on what they call a feeder road, which, to be honest, it must be one of the worst roads in Exeter. It is embarrassing, and I have to sort of tell people quite simply now, if you've got a problem and your car is damaged, put a claim in. It is embarrassing. And
but they haven't got any money, have
I've
they?
got no excuses. I've tried and tried. I've sent videos. They are not interested. They said it'll be done when it's done. Otherwise, it's just been work as normal, answering emails and sitting in some very, very long meetings.
Didn't you have a long email? A lady asked you a load of questions, which
she did ask me a load of questions, and I've managed to get through some of them. I'm afraid to do with hedges at the top of St. Peter's Mount, it is a Exeter City planning issue. You'd have to get hold of them. We don't have any control on the trains. I did explain buses. I did explain to her that Exeter's a very unique thing, and I think you'll find the traffic is horrendous. It does slow buses down. They can't do the times they promise, and it does bite into drivers' driving hours, which is important. You cannot break the rules. So if a driver's falling behind, unfortunately, they will pull a service. But there is, I believe there is a new timetable coming out soon where hopefully they'll try and rectify some of the problems.
Tony, you mentioned meetings. What meetings do you typically have?
What meetings do we have? That's a very good question.
Right, let's go back. Okay, the thing is, on Friday we met Peter at Stagecoach. Go through all that.
Yeah, well, we met. Should I talk about that one?
Yeah, you can talk about that.
Yeah,
one.
you can. Well, we met Peter, who's the director for Devon of Stagecoach. We took a member of the public with us who was wanting to know what the problems were. He talked to him, give him a tour of the bus station, and clearly explained the problems. And I do think when this person went away, he had a better understanding of the problems that Stagecoach have to put up with.
Okay, but I guess what I was referring to, Tony, is occasionally you say, "Oh, I'm at the Devon County Council." Like I think you said you were Tuesday afternoon. The meetings that you
really
attend
want
as
me
a
to go
counselor,
through?
right?
You really want me to go through this?
Not down at the pub.
God, here we go then. Well, there's a trust that we sit on as county councillors called the Hills Trust, and that's money that's dedicated to the schools and anything to do with children in the Exeter area. So as trustees, we sit on that, and we get applications come to us from schools, from playgroups, and we sort of send people in to make a report. And if we're happy with what we think they're asking for and it's justified, we'll agree to it. So that took up 3 hours of my time. I had to also do another meeting, I think yesterday, where I covered. You're waiting for the other one, aren't you? Where I covered, where I had to cover one of our county councillors, and that took 3 hours.
We'll come back to that other meeting.
Yeah, and we'll come back to the other meeting that actually I sat through with our compere Rob there for 4.5 hours. And eventually, although it still went on, and I believe that they carried on because they were talking about allowances, so that might have been a very quick one for
their
them.
pay rise, is it?
Well, I don't know what, I got the impression that was the next thing they were talking about. I did leave after about 4 hours because, to be honest, I'd heard what I wanted to hear, and I really wanted to go to bed.
Yeah, thank you, Tony. And how do people get in touch with you? Do you have an email address? Or,
my email
they visit
address.
Your house?
It's all there. Everybody, it is online. My email address, my house number. There's no secret. My telephone number, and people do sort of ring up. We do our best, like I say. There are things we can't deal with because they are literally Exeter City issues, but we will do our best to pass on the problems to the Exeter City Council, and we do have a good working relationship with them. So most of the time, the issues can be solved.
Okay, that's great. And I think just basically how people get in touch with you all is it's fairly straightforward, except for Jax and Nat, of course. But it's tony.stevens@devon.gov.uk, and you do the same thing for Jax and Nathaniel. But I don't know if it's Nathaniel or Nat.
Nat.
They'll have to clarify that. Okay,
it is
guys?
Nat. Which I want changed, actually.
Just one little final reminder or piece of information, Tony. Every week we have more and more viewers, and we have also people in your local area here. And how long have you lived here?
Too long. No, I've lived here all my life, be it Alphington for 10 years and then St. Thomas the rest of my years. So I'm 62 now, so I think the people out there can do the maths. So I went to the local schools, and yeah, I live local as well. So, you know, there's certain things that I do sort of notice. I mean, there is one of the things, there are health and safety officers, I think Exeter City, our local councillor, has said that they've employed to walk around St. Thomas. I've yet to spot one, I must admit. They are around apparently, but I have seen our traffic enforcement officer quite a few times, and he's a very nice person.
Colonel
I've
Mustard
yet
with
to
the
see.
candlestick
I've
in the
yet
lounge,
to see these. I don't know what to call them really, but they're, you know, they do walk around apparently, and they're supposed to move people on.
Okay, thank you very much, Tony. If I was allowed to give you a round of applause, I would, but apparently I'm not. Okay,
not today.
Not today.
Now let's, if you don't mind, let's turn to.
Let's give the viewers what they want.
Nathaniel.Vanstone,
Nat.
or what is it
Nat.
exactly?
Nat.
And what? Your pretty face. What have you been doing the past week? Or
I've had
two?
without taking up too much time, it's precious talking time tonight, but had a really good start to the week. I've had a two or 3 hour meeting with Ricky Cowton, my new neighbourhood highways officer. Went and visited 3 sites, one being Exeter Athletic Rugby Club, to try and help them sort out the issues of the flooding on their pitches. So that's got legs now. So that's hopefully going to be sorted out pretty quickly. And obviously a couple of other areas that I visited with Ricky. So yeah, it's been a good week this week so far, and productive. And he's a top fella. He's a good man. Gets the shovel out as well.
Ideal.
Yeah.
Send him my way. Always use someone with a shovel.
Okay, and hey, Jax, tell us who you are, a very interesting person, and what your area you represent, and what you've been up to.
Well, I'm from Newton Abbot North. As you can probably tell by my accent, I'm not originally from Devon. I located down to Devon in 1998 when I left the army. But my main thing at the moment with Newton Abbot is all the road diversions and the dreaded potholes, to the extent that I'm even receiving messages and phone calls at 10:30 at night demanding that I do something about these potholes, which not a lot I can do at 10:30 at night, but I do jump on straight on the computer and get in touch with highways. Little bit of difficulties with highways at the moment. I'm just in the middle of getting a new highways officer. But yeah, we've got some really bad roads in our area, and potholes, divots, where the road just disappears with the tracks of the tyres, which then pulls the cars into the curb, etc. And I've been busy dishing out my locality budget, so I've just helped another couple of community projects. So yeah, keeping quite busy.
That's super. Again, if I were able to give you an applause, I would, Jax, but I'm going to turn it over to Neil. Neil, please.
Yeah, so we'll go to the emails. So guys, keep your emails coming in. We had one question regarding Southern Hay, how the road layout has been changed. The reason it was changed at the beginning because of the building work going up there, and then they're supposed to have had a consultation, which I didn't even know about. So now they've closed it back to the original way, which some people are really frustrated by, but that was made by Exeter City Council and Devon. I think it was Exeter City Council, where Southern A is now like a one-way system. So I wrote back to the lady. Devon County Council gave me a very good explanation, but there's nothing we can do about it. Nicola, regarding your ticket you got down by the river, I gave you guidance on that. I'm not legally qualified. It's not a fine. It's basically when you park in these areas and they've got signs everywhere, what they say is you are committed to a contract, and if you break the contract, then they can give you a fixed thing. But read the email I got to you. Remember, I am not legally to give you any advice on that, but I think it was quite a good, I did my homework on that, and hopefully that helps out. What we've done as well, we've gone down to Stagecoach Friday. We took somebody else with us. Very, very good. That guy's going to write to the MP, Steve Reid.
Steve Race.
I was going to say Steve Race. He's racing
Mixing
around
everybody
Exeter.
up now.
He's racing around Exeter right now.
Yeah.
But there was issues down there. Remember the TRO's traffic regulation orders? What happened over the weekend? They had 21 leaks in Exeter just themselves. They had to get a team or South West Water had to get a team in from Bournemouth to support the Exeter team. They worked night and day. It did disrupt. What we did learn also is a lot of the utility units are using this quick get out thing where they can go for it, Rob. We've got a technical issue somewhere. Okay, so traffic regulation orders, and what happens? They only have to give 2 hours notice. So this disrupts the buses as well. Not only do we have the bridges, we have this disruption. Tony and I went out to, well, Tony was driving, Dawlish Road, Chudley Road. We met the planning officer there regarding the lights. So Chudley Road, some lights are already in place, but at the end of the day, they all will be, each party, like Barrett's, will actually put the lights in as they go along, and all the pavements will work and be fixed together. So that will come out in a report once I get back in and write it. So that's that report on that. Well, we got a technical issue.
We're live on YouTube.
Okay, so we're live on YouTube, but we're not on anything else.
Hi, YouTube.
Hi, YouTube. Yeah.
Hi, all you YouTubers out there.
Okay, we're live on everything now, are we?
We're away.
We're away again, yeah?
We're live on Facebook as well.
Oh, right.
Okay, so if you haven't done this last 16 minutes, it was a introduction, how to get hold of us on the phone, and what we've been up to over the last week.
So I haven't missed much.
The only thing we all did, we all attended the council meeting on Friday. It was extraordinary meeting. Now, what do they call it?
Assembly.
Where they pulled us all in to discuss regarding the elections. Waste of time going there because all we were doing was bumping our gums, and there was no real reason because we have no say. So to that end, Rob, once you've sorted the technical problem out and walking in front of the cameras all the time.
I have, sir. I'm not just another pretty face.
I know you're not, but walking in front of the cameras, you have to excuse us, guys. We're short of hands today because people have been ill. But what we're going to move on to now is democracy denied in Exeter, and this will be our main meat of it. And there's a few things we cannot say for legal reasons, and I've already briefed the crew. Okay.
Whatever we remember is something else.
Okay, Rob, take over.
Yeah. Well, would you like Tony and I to just run through what happened on Tuesday
I would
evening?
love it.
Just a recap.
So
right,
let's
Tony?
start. Let's put the foundations in, and the foundations is the meeting Exeter City Council had in the Guildhall. I'll lead over to you guys.
Okay, fantastic.
Do you want me to do it to start with?
Yes. Maybe I'll just mention one thing. It was very interesting because Jackson, Nat, we were waiting outside until 10 till 6 when they allowed the public in because the councilors were let in first, which makes sense, really. And outside, lo and behold, if you want to check my Facebook page, which I don't like Facebook, but lo and behold, there were 15 members of the public, very appropriately dressed, and I interviewed one, who were advocating that the elections go ahead. And good on them. I wish all the political parties were out in front, but these were just members of the public. They didn't identify themselves, which is a great thing. And then we went in, and Tony and I had front row seats, didn't we, Tony, as members of the public?
Certainly
right?
did, Rob.
And I'll just add one more thing. Whoever is listening to this video tonight, don't worry if you're not Albert Einstein or if you're like me, wanting to be a bit more clever. I was really amazed because, Tony, if you remember, the council allowed a public speaker to speak. And this man got up there. I didn't have my glasses on, so I didn't see him, but he spoke so eloquently, I could not believe it. And when we had a break, I went up to him and I said, "Who taught you how to speak like that? You're amazing." And he said, "Well, my parents did. And guess what? They were labor supporters their whole life, as I was. And we are all not anymore, all three of us." And I said, "Well, what do you do? Are you a university professor, And he said, "No, I'm a bricklayer, and I love my job, and I just thought that I'd voice my dismay at how these elections are being canceled or potentially being canceled." Tony, can you add to that?
Yeah, well, I mean, it was a very long meeting, I will say, to start with. But, I did manage to stay interested. So what it involved essentially is it was a debate about whether or not to postpone, and I'm going to say postpone, the local elections in May. Because what they're saying is we have an LGR coming up, which is local government reorganisation, and Exeter have put a bid in. So essentially, they want to sort of expand their boundaries so that they can have a bigger area and control the budget. So it would involve, if they were successful, it would involve the disbandment of Devon County Council. So obviously, a lot of jobs would be gone. But it would mean that instead of having two people in control of the same thing, there will be one. And some of it, of course, makes sense. But you shouldn't sort of delay or postpone, an election because of it. You know, it is the people's right to sort of decide who they want to go forward for the next 2-3 years.
Can I, let's have a discussion. Let's have a conversation. When you say, there seems to be some disagreement about postpone or cancel, I think that it appears that the recommendation will be made by the leader, or has been made actually, probably, to central government to postpone the elections. That's what he said he would do. However, it's actually canceling the election, because what he's recommending, is that the May 2026 elections be canceled. Once May leaves us, you cannot have an election in May because it's passed, right? So it was canceled.
From what I believe, from what somebody was saying, though.
Let's get to let's be honest with people tonight, all right? When elections are cancelled, right, who does it benefit? Does it benefit us or the people in power? That's the question I'm going to put out to you guys. Nat?
People in power, ultimately, and the fear of losing that power.
Losing control.
Yeah,
or
so
losing control, power, same thing.
Mm.
Right, so there's a few things I've actually been told I cannot say on here, which I'm going to tell you, which I'm not going to say.
Well,
you're not going to say those words.
Who's telling you not to?
Right, so what these things we are not saying to you guys. The elections are not there because they know they're going to lose. So we're not suggesting that Labour's going to lose.
Not saying that.
Of course not.
And we're not actually saying that the head of the council is going to have it's a political gain. That is not a statement we're making, because I'm not allowed to make that statement. And and this is serious now. There's no corruption going on, and it's not illegal. So we're not stating that at all. So the question I asked you at the beginning, guys, and I looked at all of you and anybody out there, and I don't care if you're Labour, Liberal, Greens, Independent, and all you wokey people and everything like that, and the lefties,
Can't say wokey.
and all the lefty people.
Oh,
Right. The question is, who gains when elections are either delayed or cancelled? That's it.
Well,
Well,
it's
are we
not the
allowed to talk about
constituents,
that?
is it?
Pardon? It's a free country. I can say what I like.
But certainly, like Jack says, it's not the residents who have a right to vote, and we live in a democracy, and it is the root.
Do we?
Well, obviously,
Well, so
it's beginning to.
Can I
not
say,
look like it.
I'll put it on both sides now. So the argument is from them is they have officers in place who are focusing on this local government reorganisation, and they don't want to be sidetracked. I'm going to be sceptical on this by having to arrange elections in May. Now, it's got nothing to do with the fact some of them who are up for election may or may not lose their seat. Nothing to do with it, apparently. So that's their argument. But the thing is,
discussion. We don't use argument.
all right, discussion. That's
or
what
their
they said.
point.
But my point is, as our compare Rob will say, we sat through 4 hours of that, 28 speakers, some of which do like the sound of their own voice, and one who even broke into song. And they love the sound of their own voice. But at the end, the decision was already made as far as I was concerned.
Well, let's pass it over, because I don't want to dominate this show, because Jacqueline, you've driven a long way. Nat, you always drive a long way, right? So, you're a very strong voice, Jacqueline, and Nat, you don't really care anyway, because you will say what you want. And we will say what we want, because I ain't being hung or told what to say by anybody. All right? And that goes to anybody. And, you want to look up the chain of command, I'm telling you. We're changing our stance from now on. All right?
Well, as far as I can see, without being able for citizens to be able to have a vote, is taking away their power to influence what happens in their lives and what happens in the government. So every vote is a voice, and to take away that right to give people their voice, I think is despicable.
It's sad. It's really sad for the residents of Exeter, and ultimately what it creates going forward in the future. You know, if this becomes the norm, does this happen?
Well,
You know,
could it
on a
happen in
regular
Newton
basis.
Abbott, you see?
What we'll do is we'll bounce around because we don't want to jump too far ahead because we'll talk about the LGR in a minute because they said the LGR. But let's talk about, right. Exeter City is run by a political establishment. That is it. Right. Exeter is run by a political establishment. So they understand, all right, that basically there's risk, accountability, and possibly they could lose control of the council. And they also lose their pay packets. I'm not saying that. Should I have said that or not? I don't know.
Well, it's true.
Right.
isn't it?
Right.
Well,
Risk, accountability, and lose control. Right. If we don't have an elections, we'll talk about mandate later. All right. They will not have, after May, 13 seats, which should have come up. If they're not do the actual elections in May, they don't have a mandate from the people. That's the way I look at it. You can shove the, it's like playing a game of football. You keep moving the goalposts, right?
100%.
That's where. Sorry.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to say. Yes, Rob.
Just finish off maybe the piece about what happened last night, right? Because actually there were some other agenda items that were discussed by the council last night.
It's Wednesday. I think.
Say again, Tony?
I think was it last night?
The night before
No, it was
last.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
It was Tuesday. I was going to
Yeah.
say. I'm sure I was doing something else
Yeah.
last night. But
So anyway, so they finished discussing that, and then we got to agenda item 11, which is the recommendation that Phil would send to central government, and along with that, they allowed members of the public to speak. There were a number of speakers, which is great. I didn't hear any speaker that asked for the election to be canceled. And then the individual councillors got up and spoke as well, right, Tony?
yes, I mean you'd be surprised to know one side, the Labour local councillors, were really in favour. So there was a few planted questions, I thought, but really a lot were in favour. Whereas they all were, sorry. Whereas on the other side of the coin, they were against it. And
Yes.
like I said, some people should stick to how long they talk.
Mm.
And we did have one break into song, which I thought very surprising. But
Do you know what the song was?
yes, it was something from The Sound of Music, apparently, and a lovely voice she had.
Well, pity she didn't get up some hills and.
Well, yeah, she could have done with going far away.
Can I
when she
just
was
confirm
doing it.
that every Labour councillor in Exeter did not want the elections to go ahead? Am I right or wrong, Tony?
You're quite
Rob?
correct, yes.
Yes. Now, there's some debate about whether or not the councillor from Alphington was there last night.
No, Tuesday.
The Labour. Or sorry. Time flies when you have fun. Which I'll do some research on that. I think he left halfway through after the vote, but he might have left even before the vote. Now, that raised an interesting question, which we'll talk about a little bit, Neil, about who's maybe by-elections. But so what just to finish off that piece, what ended up happening was most of the Labour councillors got up and spoke. Naturally, they were all
I thought a lot of them spoke too long, didn't they?
whipped, they were
No,
all
I think
whipped into
actually it was
action,
the other
right?
side spoke too long.
And-
The Labour ones were so far up Phil Ballock's rear that sorry, I can't
Well, I'm
mention
not
saying
sure
sorry.
about that, but
The leader's rear
now,
that
interesting because most every councillor from the opposition spoke. In fact, I heard from the Green Party, the Lib Dems, the Conservatives. I heard from Reform, at least one of the Reform councillors. The other Reform councillor didn't say anything, but there was all those except for Labour, like Tony said, were in.
Am I
really
correct?
discussed.
Zoe,
I will
Zoe
add, but
Independent was
what
very
I will
good.
say though, what I will say is the Liberal Dems, it's for their benefit for the elections to go ahead, because if it did go ahead and Labour were to lose so many seats, they would be the majority party then.
Yeah.
So they have sort of their own sort of reasons.
Okay, Neil. So are there any questions about what happened last night before we move on?
Well, no, let's just say the elections were scheduled, okay? So the elections were scheduled, then reorganisation was proposed. Agreed, Nat?
Yep.
Jacqueline?
Yeah.
So then we either postpone or cancel the elections. So the sitting councillors now, they don't have a mandate in my eyes after May. They do not have a mandate. As somebody keeps writing to me, and well, we might as well not pay our council tax. Well, you've got to pay your council tax. So that, you know, we're talking about what we can do at the end. Nat, Jacqueline, come on.
Well, this is you know, when you've got people going to those or saying those extremes, you know, at the end of the day, that people are desperate to be able to have a vote to guide their lives, and if they don't have it, it's another route to causing more disgruntled people, and you're like these. The Labour Party are going to turn so many people away from them by not giving them the chance to vote. It's so wrong. It is.
Well,
it's
there'll
so
always
wrong.
be that question, won't there, about if it
I
had
just
gone
keep-
ahead or if it didn't, what the result would be.
Yeah.
Well, I'm surprised that we've ended up at the result that we have, because when we had our meeting to discuss all this, whether, you know, this should all go ahead or be postponed, the leader of the Labour Party was in the gallery and he seemed to be agreeing with everybody in chamber at Devon County Council that, you know, we shouldn't be taking the right away. Nobody should be taking the right away of people to vote. That's their democratic right to say what they feel, to have in council who they want. And if they're fed up with who's in at the moment, then that's their opportunity to vote differently and change things.
Well,
Can I
Yeah.
say, by the way, at this
yeah,
point,
no, I agree.
it
Jacqueline.
isn't his decision at the end, although it will be a government decision, apparently.
Yeah, it's already done behind.
I know it's
closed,
done
isn't it?
deal, but it will be argued it is a government decision. We've got to sort of mention that.
So let's put it another way. If this happened in another country, Nat,
Yeah.
Jacqueline, this happened in another country, what would we say?
What would we say?
What would we
I'm
say?
sure people in another country would be out protesting and filling the
France,
streets
it wouldn't happen
with
in France.
frustration. You know,
So
why
the-
we just sit. We tend to just sit on our hands and take it, and we keep taking all this.
So let's put it in. So I would say if it was another country, it would be powered, retained, without consent.
Yeah.
That's like socialism to me.
Yeah.
But do you know what? I have to sit here and listen. And I just think, you know, I just want our country to be working good. And then look at Exeter. What a state it's in. And Labour are running it. Lib Dems are running Devon County Council. We can't even get one pothole filled in. Steve Race is saying there's £27 million.
Where is it?
What are all these people supposed to be doing?
Yeah.
We'll talk about where all the money's going in a minute. Yeah. Right. But the bottom line is the election should go ahead. Jacqueline, I'm strong about this.
Most definitely. I just can't believe that. I mean, the leader of Exeter may very well be a really nice guy. I think he's being pressured from further up the chain, and that's why the decision's been made. Because, in all intents and purposes, when he was at County Hall, nodding and agreeing with everybody that was saying we cannot take people's democratic rights away, he seemed to be, agreeing with everybody. Now, we've ended up with this, so it must have come from higher up the chain. And, some allege that Labour's dodged defeat over this because apparently in one of the newspapers it said last year's polls saw that Labour would be wiped out. And to be quite honest, I think that's quite true.
Wouldn't those councillors have gained far more respect from people if they'd have actually stood up, and if they feel like that but they're being told from above, if they stood up and said, no, actually I don't agree with that.
Well, break ranks.
We're a democratic country, and actually stand up and say, look, I'm not having this. I'm going to do for what's right for Exeter and the Exeter people, and give them their right to vote. You know, we all, you know, party politics, obviously, everybody seems to have to fall in line with certain things. But when it comes to democracy, it's a different matter. And when you're taking away thousands of people's rights
Not thousands,
to vote,
millions.
millions across the country, you should have that responsibility to stand up and go, I don't agree with this. And there's councillors that were in that meeting the other day that could have done that, and they'd have got far more respect from it.
I think the trouble is, though, Nat, when the general public look at councillors, it's giving councillors a bad name. There are councillors that become councillors, they get elected because they listen to the people, they want to be a voice for the people. And there are some that just want to be there for the party and to follow lines for their position. So there's a big difference, and I think that's where we are different, is because we are there to listen to our residents and to try and act to make their life better. And
You know, Jack, one would think that with such an important decision, right, that this would be an item that the council would want to have unanimity. In other words, everybody agreeing on it. And when something significant like this is along party lines, then what kind of conclusion do you think that gives people?
well, total loss of trust. I mean,
Well, this is why there's a massive wave of people now wanting change, and they've wanted it, and this only reinforces that.
Well, the biggest joke now is, you know, the Exeter City Council want a unity council, don't they?
Yeah.
Right. Unity without unity in the vote, right? That becomes management.
Yeah.
That's what I say. It becomes management, right? You
They
don't
want to
build
be a
on it.
unitary authority. There you go. That's what you were trying to say, wasn't it?
Well, I just call it a socialist state, and I've always said
but
that from the
that's
beginning.
not what I've got written
Socialist is
down.
a
So
cousin
that's
of
what it's
communism.
turning into, Neil.
Yeah.
Yeah, it will get worse.
And that's
yeah.
exactly what it's turning into.
I'll give you an example, Neil, of something that I was personally involved with. I worked for the NHS for ever since I've been in this country, about 25 years now. I retired a couple years ago, but I was a contractor, as a financial consultant, procurement consultant. I moved around to different hospitals, and one of which was the Royal Surrey, which is a great hospital. And what we did there was we formed a subsidiary because we wanted to break off and separate the clinical service from non-clinical services. And so that we ripped that structure apart, and FM services, IT, medical devices, medical equipment management, they were all put in a subsidiary so that we could focus on the clinical services. And you know, Neil, there wasn't one clinical service that was disrupted for that. So for goodness sakes, it's a massive hospital with life-changing, where people's lives are at stake. We were able to do it there, and many other hospitals and organizations can undergo significant change. Certainly, we can do that in Exeter, right?
Yeah, you talk about the LGR, but let's just ask a question. Why do we have elections? That's a good question I'm going to ask you. Nat, Jacqueline, Tony, why do we have elections?
It gives the people, in my opinion, it gives the people a chance. If they're not happy with the way a country, a county, a city's run, you can change it. And, you know, if that doesn't work on the next election, you can change it again.
And this is where by people, you know, all right, obviously they may have their opportunity taken away this time, but this is why it's so important for people to get out and vote when they get the chance, because it seems like these opportunities are getting taken away from us. So it makes it even more important to get out and go and vote the next time you can.
Yeah, so going back to that question. So it is if we have a disagreement with people, the ballot box, and I repeat, the ballot box is a peaceful, and I use the word peaceful way to resolving disagreements. As soon as you disrupt things like that, then you start getting tyranny, would you call it? Disruption, protests, anarchy.
Flag flying.
well, where do you think the flags have come from?
Well,
It's because people are unhappy with how things are going.
yeah, but I got to admit, the flags do look lovely on Bridge Road. So
stunning.
I'll always
Yeah,
say that as
absolutely
well.
stunning.
Yeah. So, you know, we've got to ask the question, you know, why are they doing it?
You know, it's not a protest as such. It is essentially.
No, not about the flags. We'll stick to this.
Yeah.
About
All right.
yeah.
Well,
All right.
We're
yes,
not
sir.
bringing the flags up
Well,
today.
you were mentioning that. That was all.
but every vote is a voice, and
Yeah.
voting ensures government accountability.
You know, don't vote. You know, don't vote. You just have to accept the way it's gone. I mean, it could make the difference of your
Yeah,
vote.
no, if it's not political, right? If this is not political, let the people vote.
Yeah,
That's what I say. If it's not political, let the people vote.
yeah. Well, you're only going to make that itch even bigger.
Well,
aren't you?
the question is, if Labour thought you've got to question if Labour thought they were going to win by a landslide, would it have gone ahead?
Of course it would.
So you know, there's questions always going to be there.
Okay, but let's be clear in a couple of other aspects to it. First of all, the elections have not been canceled yet. We are still, you know, everybody should be still cracking on with the May elections. A recommendation is going, or maybe has probably already been made to the
Yeah,
Parliament
Bob,
by the
we
leader.
can
Yeah.
whistle up and blow. You know
And,
what did Josie
you know,
Wells
there are
say?
going to be court cases on it. We don't really know exactly when the central government's going to respond anyway. So it's, you know, although it looks like the elections will be canceled in May, we need to be cracking on with campaigning, you know, for all the parties really, and keeping on with democracy as usual, right? Even though, and we need
Well,
to be.
I will
we need to be-
question how many times we see our local MP down here now that he knows it possibly could be delayed, postponed, cancelled. So, you know, you may or may not see much of him at the moment. As long as he does come down with this money for the potholes.
Right, so so let's sorry, Nat needs a wee.
Oh.
Nat, you go and have a wee.
Go
So
on,
let's
Nat.
look at the LGR. So what they're saying now, they've got they've got people. These are paid officers, by the way. Local government reorganisation, which hasn't been proven that it's going to work. Right, Exeter's trying to get their own unity council. Plymouth are trying to get it,
No, Plymouth's got one.
or Plymouth's got one. My correction.
Now you've
right.
got Exeter.
And they're saying they haven't got enough staff to do this. Yeah. To run a local election doesn't take a lot of map. They're getting paid to do that job. If they can't do it, they shouldn't be in that job. Right? If you read my Facebook post, you know, we work every day. I do that extra mile Tony does. Jacqueline, you do. What time do you work? You get up and do all your emails and
So today I've been on the computer all day long, and it's quite often that I will start, you know, early in the morning and still be going at 10:30 at night, and the emails keep on coming, the text messages or the phone calls keep on coming. I'm lucky in the fact that this is now a full-time job for me. But I don't know how you guys cope with the amount of problems that we get in that we've got to try and sort out.
well,
when
I
you
did.
work
I did have
full-time.
fair hair when I started, and it's grey now. So I think that's my bit said. What's he doing there? Oh, we can see you there. Look, now. See you.
Okay. Well, we put up a slide so that we can get a good break here, but.
I saw that anyway.
Yeah, I mean, let's be clear about another thing, okay, guys? Because the election is largely run by the Exeter City Council Electoral Services team. I know several of the staff there, which are really very helpful to me and to you know, the people that I was involved with. And I doubt really that they're involved with the local government reorganization. So I don't really understand why that they think that team is going to be compromised and we need to cancel the election. What do you think there, Nat?
In regards to LGR and how it will affect that, I think everybody's adults in the room, aren't they? So either which way, local government reorganisation.
Can I say
Sorry,
that?
Nat. Which animal? Which animals? Which adults are in the room?
Well, yeah,
I mean,
true, yeah.
come on.
yeah.
I mean, their argument, like I said, their argument is that some of these people who are up for election are heavily involved in LGR, and if they were to lose their seats, it would put them behind. with the
that's a
work they're
load
doing.
of rubbish.
Well, like I said, I'm only telling you what the reasons were.
people will still
Yeah,
have-
by-elections. We have by-elections still coming up.
Yeah. Let's talk about that, Neil, a little bit. What do you mean by by-election?
Well, by-election, one person in Alfreton is retiring, and I think 4 other people are standing down and retiring as well. So there's still 5 by-elections in Exeter in May, and if you want change, this is what we need to be looking at. And going back to people who don't actually vote, it doesn't matter what party. I don't care, but you need to get out and vote. And yeah, let's look at Labour. Labour are running this city. They want to run. They want to grab. You can't call it a land grab, Nat, can we?
It's look, I've said it's expanding their borders.
Do you think percentage-wise? Obviously, I've looked at recent elections, and the turnout percentage is really low. Do you think this has something to do with the part of the reason why they feel like they can get away with this?
I don't know.
in a
That's a
sense.
good point,
Noise.
actually, because if you think
It's such a low
60%
percentage.
don't care.
I think a lot of people just feel that they have been so let down by governments, and I say governments because it doesn't matter whether it's been Labour or the lovely people before. They just feel so let down that they feel, well,
Disillusion.
yeah, what's the point? But there is a point.
Yeah.
And it's no good moaning about the state of the country or the state of your town or anything else unless you're going to put your X in the box and
Yeah,
be a
you may
voice.
not win with that X, but at least
Well,
you've done
let's go back to
a
the
bit.
LGR. So let's be realistic about the LGR, right? You're going to have fewer councils, correct?
Yeah.
It depends which one
You're going to have
gonna
fewer councils. You're going to have fewer leaders and fewer elections.
and councillors are going to have much bigger areas to
Right.
try and cope with.
Right. So what does it do then? That allows central government to control it easier. And I know people are going to say that's a load of rubbish. Trust me, they're doing it for a reason. Right. My actual thought pattern would one Devon. Devon County Council take the lot, run the lot. That's my view. All right. And I've worked on the temporary storage unit, excess death. I've worked with different people. I've seen Plymouth. I've seen Cornwall. Right. But one Devon, we get rid of all these people. Right. We shake it all up. It needs to be shaken up. All right. We can do the meat of it. Where's all our money going?
Yeah.
Send.
Yeah.
I don't
District
care.
councils.
It ain't going to bloody potholes. All right. I can tell you that.
The whole thing about LGR is worrying. We've got parishes that do not. The work they do and the way they get information out to their residents. You got to think we're missing a generation of older people that don't use social media and stuff like that. So they get newsletters. They get it's all helpful information for people that aren't on social media or that technology like that tech minded. So it's going to take away their access to knowing what's going on. In my eyes, that's the way I see it. And parish councils and town councils are great for giving out information.
You're going to have fewer councillors and more people, right? And the little problems that to the council. So when people write to me, that's a big problem for these individuals. But imagine a bigger organisation; they won't care about these little problems,
No.
right? They will not care.
No,
It's a rural area.
And am I right in saying that your parishes are worried that it's going to be land grab?
Well,
And you know what I mean by that?
It's expanding
land
their
grab.
No,
borders.
They-
selling their assets.
Parish councils, some of them own land that they want to do nice things for the parish or for the parish itself eventually. So they know that, there's genuine concerns about whether it's going to be taken away from them.
Yeah.
We've all heard of compulsory purchase before, and it's just another way of bullying people into losing assets.
Yeah. Well, my view is this: LGR, the central government will be able to control it easier. All right. they can control the funding to that organisation, or they can stop the funding for that organisation.
Yeah.
It's the rural areas that are really going
And
to
it's
suffer.
funny how
there are
Labour's
free applications for LGR in Devon going in. So you have the Exeter application, the Devon one, which is obviously all of one Devon.
And Exeter's running their city
you've got
really good right
Mid-Devon.
now, aren't they?
Mid-Devon want to do it so that there are 5 unitary authorities. They want to add an extra 2. So there'll be Plymouth, Torbay, Exeter, and 2 more.
Just to add something, Neil and guys, better get ready for some elections because you're talking about by-election, Neil. Interesting observation last night. Bob Fole, who's the Labour councillor from Alphington, right, whose term is up May. I believe he left at half-time. He might not have even been there at first time. I'm going to, like I said, research that. But interesting is the Labour candidate for Alphington. She got up there and made a little speech, and the speech was a bit woke because what she did was she asked and planted a question for the leader, which basically, kind of like basketball, you fire the basket over to the basketball to the person right under the net, Tony.
I couldn't even remember
and
if
that's
she
what,
read that.
what it did because
I can't remember if she read that question properly, to be honest. I think she stumbled on it.
So Phil did a slam dunk, boom, boom, boom. So she's on his side. But the interesting thing about that, Tony, I think you remarked on that, is there you have the Labour candidate for Alphington. That's your area, Neil. And she's doing a slam dunk for the leader to be all set to postpone or cancel the elections, which effectively is, I guess she wouldn't be able to run because elections would be canceled. So I guess she's afraid of who? Reform? Reform or... I don't know what they're afraid of, but they're afraid of, I guess, being turfed out like they were the DCC, right, Tony?
Well, I have nothing to do with Alphington, the local councillors there. I can't possibly comment on that one. I think that's more Neil's area.
Okay, well, should we move on to the next agenda item, Neil, which is basically what are we going to do about this, right?
Right, so we can sit here or we can gob off and do whatever we like, all right? But look at it. The council don't own democracy, do they? We own it.
That's right. It's people.
Right. We can sit. And I've had some lovely comments on the Facebook page. I don't think I've read any negative ones. Maybe a few. Right. But as I've said before, I invite you onto the show. All right. You're high behind LGR. You're high behind £250,000. You're going to save. All right. But look at the money they're all wasting already. All right. Look at the state of this city. My son-in-law, future son-in-law, said he came in here 10 years ago and it was beautiful. He said now it looks like part of where he come from, East London, as he says. Yeah, Jacqueline?
Yeah, it's certainly gone downhill since I've lived here. And, people, they just, I don't know. It's just really disappointing.
Right, so somebody's put on the Facebook, do we do a petition? Well, write into me and tell me whether you want a petition. To me, a petition, they don't care. Right? They've had 3 petitions regarding the general election, and they've had, did it reach 1 million one stage?
I think a lot of them have reached 1 million.
Right,
Neil.
3 times they've debated it. Of course they don't want to give up power. Right? There's so much dissatisfaction in this country. Right? So much discontent. If they are scared of us, they're naturally not going to call elections. If you trust the people, right, and accountability and risk, take it to the polls, guys.
And if we don't stand up for democracy now...
No, if everybody's happy with Labour, they're staying in power.
We're on a slippery slope.
Well, they're in power, aren't they, till 29? Cause
I think...
Oh, well, it
I
comes
dread to
extra.
think what's happening in 29.
In a year's time, you're going to have to wait a year now to sort of have your voice.
Well, if Labour's still in until 29, are they going to cancel the general election?
They probably will use an
Well, they
excuse.
can't
Cancel
cancel
it
it. They can delay it
till the year
by a year.
2050 or something.
Yeah.
Well, I have no... I mean, Keir Starmer to me is just... It's a waste of time in my
Well,
eyes.
he
But
does a lot of U-turns.
so going back to right, we are Reform, and I'm proud to be Reform. Right, all 4 of us. Right, I'm here for my grandchild.
What about me? Huh?
Sorry,
And Rob.
I can't speak for my wife. I'm not allowed. She has to be politically neutral. Rob is the my campaign manager, and he always will be my campaign manager. And we have a team here. We've got an interesting couple of weeks ahead. We've got a veteran coming on. Jacqueline, do you want to say about that?
Yeah, so we've got a gentleman called Chris coming in next week who runs the Cutch Hub in Newton Abbot. And he's setting up a charity, and he's coming to talk to us about it regarding helping veterans. So, he'll be able to tell us all about that, and that should be really interesting.
No, he's been itching to play that.
Dear, oh dear.
We thought we got away with that
Yeah,
one.
so he's coming on next week to talk about what, sorry?
He's coming in to talk about his charity, which is Operation Cutch, which is helping veterans families, and homelessness. So, it's a really good charity, and I hope everybody will listen along and find out all about it. And maybe there's somebody out there that this charity can help. So, yeah.
Brilliant. And the week after, Rob, we've got hopefully the policeman.
Yes, sir. We've got, it could be Nathan, who's one of the, I believe he's a chief inspector, or he's definitely an inspector for Exeter, and he controls, I think, this side of the river with a bunch of constables. Is that what you call them, constables these days?
Well, you've got to be careful what you're saying here, Rob.
Police
I'd say.
officers.
Police officers, because I
officers.
think it is your accent.
Anyways,
so-
those people that we rely on to keep us safe, basically. Right?
Yeah, and then the next time we've got a taxi driver which has got hold of me. He's got a gentleman who sadly is dying of cancer. The council, he had 3 years, he's had a damp problem in his house. He's been removed from there, put in a temporary accommodation. He now has 10 days to go back in it, and apparently all they've done is put a bit of paint over it. So Nat and I are going to investigate that this weekend to get actually ground truth. So we're inviting him on. He's got a lot of stories to tell as a taxi driver.
Oh,
So that should be quite interesting.
Yeah, it will be. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And Neil, I hope to convince the awesome bricklayer that was very eloquent at the council meeting to come on. I've got his phone number, and he seems willing to come on. He's a really articulate lad, as you call him. Is it lad? Is that what you say?
Lad, yeah. And
Top
I had
bloke, there you go.
another young gentleman from the college today called Adam has invited me to do a question. He wants to talk to me regarding how are performing in Exeter. So I've invited him down here, not to come on the show because I don't think he would want to, but to go in the background and see what we get up to. Nat.
Can I just like sort of end it on from my part? As a Reform County Councillor, I'd like to give you my reassurance that if it was ever in doubt that or a thing about us cancelling elections, it wouldn't happen, and I would never ever support that. Democracy should be upheld in this country and our county. So believe you me, I would never ever support such a thing.
Jacqueline.
Yeah, speak up, people. Let your voices be heard. Talk to your councillors. That's what we're here for. See you all soon.
Tony.
well, I say exactly the same as Nat. You know, I mean, it's not right what's happened. You never know. Like I say, it may go ahead. Maybe we're jumping the gun, but it's not looking too good, is it?
Right, so all I'm going to say, guys, if you feel strongly about this, then I'm going to send a generic letter out, which you can send to the head of Exeter City Council, the political side of it. I'm not saying they're going to listen to you, but at least you can actually log it and say we've got disfaction. So next time, we're going to be on next time, like we said, with the veteran. Looking forward to that, as I'm a veteran, and I feel like it. My boss has just walked in, Michael Fifth Cook. So thank you for coming in, and see you next week.